Time Warner chairman and CEO Jeff Bewkes spoke to Business Insider about Donald Trump. And this guy exposed himself as a complete and utter asshole. So when first asked about the threat Trump poses to the First Amendment, here's what he said. I don't think that's a thing. I think the threat to the First Amendment came more from the Democratic side. Campaign finance reform would restrain multiple voices. I think the press viewed it charitably as something cleaning up money in politics. Okay, now, let's address a few things here. So when it comes to Trump being a threat to the First Amendment, to say that's not a thing means you're ignorant, because it's clearly a thing. He's shouting it from the rooftops. He just said the other day, maybe we should take away people's citizenship or throw them in jail for a year when it comes to flag burning. He created a media blacklist on the campaign trail where he said, look, if you cover me unfavorably, you're done. We're not even going to give you press credentials so that you can cover me. So it's only people who give him favorable coverage that were able to cover him. He sued Bill Maher over a joke. He sued The Onion over a satire article. He recently said he wants to open up the libel laws. He said that he would love it if our speech laws in the U.S. were more like England, where they're much more restrictive. So it's not a question. It's not like, hey, what's your opinion on this? We know he's very restrictive when it comes to speech, based on what he said, based on what he's done, based on his record. So that's first things first. Now, the second thing is, his argument is, no, the real threat to speech is coming from the Democrats, because the Democrats want to do campaign finance reform. All right, now, first of all, he can relax because they don't. The Democrats, as far as they go, is saying, let's repeal Citizens United. Repealing Citizens United is nonsense because that's not enough. That's window dressing. That's a way to address the problem without actually addressing the problem and basically putting the liberal base to sleep and saying, oh, see, we did reform. Now shut the fuck up and move along. Because if you repeal Citizens United, what happens? You still have money in politics. You just have slightly less money in politics. So you bring back some of the rules, and, the rules were already mangled. So Citizens United shot a dead horse because you have other cases from the late 1970s and onward that made it so that money in politics was already a scourge. So the Democrats don't even really want to do it. So let's be clear about that. But second of all, to the extent that campaign finance reform is restricting free speech, it's not. That's a totally made-up argument from corporate think tanks. So somebody was smart enough to come up with this, where they said, I don't know, how can we make it like a non-negotiable thing when it comes to us buying the government, rich people making this an oligarchy and a kleptocracy? They said, I got an idea. How about we just say that money equals speech, so if you restrict me from buying our politicians and corrupting the system and buying special favors, well, then you don't believe in the Constitution. How about that? And they ran with it. And that argument either duped over a bunch of idiot judges, or the judges were in on it and they were like, okay, yeah, we know this is a bullshit argument, but we want our buddies to buy the government too, so go right ahead. So think about that, because let's take their logic and extrapolate here. They say money equals speech. Money equals speech. So therefore, any expression with money, any financial interaction is speech. That's not what I'm saying, that's what you're saying. So by that logic, shouldn't prostitution be legal? But not only legal, unconstitutional to have laws against it. Because me giving money to a hooker is just me saying, this isn't prostitution, I'm not soliciting sex here. No, this is me expressing speech because I'm giving her money as to how much I love blowjobs. Now, again, that sounds ridiculous, right? Because it is. But that's the argument they're making. By their logic, why shouldn't I be able to go to the local crystal meth dealer and give him speech? And then when they say, whoa, are you buying drugs? I go, no, you're misunderstanding. It's not me buying drugs. I'm expressing with speech. This is my speech that says crystal meth is awesome. It's totally legal to say crystal meth is awesome. How about murder for hire? Money equals speech, right? So it's totally legal to say, I'm okay with murder. That's a legal thing to say. You could say that. Now, it's illegal to do direct threats of violence, so you can't say, I'm going to murder Ted at 3:32 a.m. on Wednesday. But you can say, yeah, I'm okay with murder. Well, by their logic, if I give money to a hired gun, like, what are you doing? You're fucking, that's illegal. You can't do that. What do you mean it's illegal? I don't know what you're talking about. This is me just expressing speech, giving a hitman money, but it's just me expressing speech as to how much I love murder and how cool with it I am. Again, with all those arguments, you go, Kyle, that is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. Why is it any different for political corruption? By the way, if money equals speech, then by definition, the richer people in a so-called democracy have a louder voice. And that's fundamentally against one man, one vote. So it would be unconstitutional on that front. So if all the rich people have a louder voice in a democracy, then it is not a democracy. It is an oligarchy. It is a kleptocracy. It is a plutocracy. Government of, by, and for the rich. So this argument falls apart just at face value, doing like a simple, run through of the logic of it. It just totally falls apart. But it's the argument that won. And it won because of assholes like this. Now, isn't it weird? The Time Warner chairman and CEO, he's that's the parent company of CNN. You know who's a big beneficiary of money in politics? CNN. Because what happens? All that money spent by the super PAC, spent by the campaigns, a lot of it goes in the form of ads. Ads that run on mainstream media. So he loves money in politics. He gets rich off it. So he has, a massive incentive to say, oh yeah, the Democrats are restricting speech. But look, man, in your heart of hearts, you know that ain't speech. And you know the effects of it. We've seen the effects of it. There was the Princeton study that found that there's little to no correlation between what the people want and the policies we end up getting. But where's there a very good correlation? What the donor class wants and what we end up getting. Because again, they give money to the politicians, so the politicians do favors for them all day long, give them sweetheart deals all day long, and who are they snubbing and ignoring and not carrying out the will of as they do favors for their donors? The American people. So the CEO of Time Warner says, rock and roll, I'm all for that, man. And they're going to smear actual liberals in the meantime and say, oh, I mean, these guys are the problem, right? These are the ones who don't believe in free speech. No, the problem is that you believe in oligarchy, and you want to mask that by claiming your detractors don't believe in the Constitution and don't believe in free speech. You don't believe in free speech because you don't believe in equality under the law. You don't believe in one man, one vote. You believe that rich people should have a much bigger say in the direction of the country because you're rich. So here's your mainstream media right here. The guy who's the CEO of Time Warner, which owns CNN, saying money in politics is awesome, and that's the way it should be. What media are you going to listen to?